Okay. Welcome, juniors. Mrs. Lombard and I, Mrs. Ashinger, are going to go through some quick reminders as you head into your summer soon, and talk about some things to keep in mind going into summer and going into fall of your senior year. All right, so some of the things we're going to cover. We're going to talk a little bit about what your summer plan should look like or things to keep in mind as you go through your summer. We'll talk about your course selections for senior year, just a few reminders while you can still change classes. We'll address standardized tests, college planning, just a few last minute reminders, and then there's going to be a survey that we have for you that should only take about 3 minutes. Okay, so let's talk about your summer priorities. First and foremost, make sure you get plenty of rest and recuperation from the school year. No, junior year is not a cakewalk, so take some of that time to rest. Summer is a great opportunity for you to get on some college campuses and do some college searching. Look at your list. At this point, it should be nice and long. And as you go through summer, you want to narrow that list a little bit more. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about that college search list in another slide. But this is the time to do some research, refine your list, get it to a good number so you know where you're going to apply in the fall. You also want to do some career exploration. This would be a great time to sign up for internships, job shadowing, volunteer opportunities, to investigate other career choices, or if you're trying to decide what you'd like to do, job shadowing is the best way to really see what that career is going to look like. We'll talk about standardized tests more specifically in a little bit, but you might also want to be signing up and taking those standardized tests over the summer in June or July, depending on which tests you're taking and what dates you're looking at. You can also take those tests in the fall, but summer is a good opportunity to take those without having a whole lot of other things to be stressing you out. And then finally, it's a good, nice, relaxing time to work on building your resume. So creating a list of all of the activities that you have done from ninth grade to present time.
Okay, so talking a little bit about course selection for next year. We're still in the request phase of the schedule. We don't have a full master schedule just yet, but in terms of the types of courses that you're able to choose and preferences you may have, we really want you to think about taking the most challenging course that's appropriate for you. So if you have the opportunity to take an honors or an AP course for the first time, um, or to continue on an honors or AP track that you've already started through high school, we really want you to do that in a way that you're challenging yourself, but also in a way that's reasonable and going to be, attainable for you to do well next year. Math is one of those big ones for a fourth year. Many of you do a great job of taking a fourth year of math, and we always will encourage that. We always want you to make sure that you're also considering the type of math that you're taking. As we've done research and visited with colleges, over the last couple of years, we keep hearing a strong emphasis on the importance of pre-calc, especially if you're going into a science or technology, math, medicine, any kind of field like that. It's important to have seen or taken pre-calc in high school, especially as a senior. So just kind of rethinking about what that would look like for you next year. And certainly we can talk to you about that if it's appropriate for you before senior year begins. We also want you to take the time to really do some exploring in your electives. By the time senior year rolls around, you've done pretty much everything you've needed to do to graduate high school. And so your electives can really start to tilt toward your interest areas. So if you're thinking about computer science, making sure you're taking those courses that are available at your school. Maybe you're considering trade school or working in a vocational setting, then maybe taking a baking and pastry course or taking an automotive maintenance course might be useful to you. So making sure that those electives really count for something and can really help solidify your career choices and your major options that you're going to have in another year or so. Also, just finishing out your years of language are also important. Many schools will consider a foreign language for admission, definitely the 2 years that we encourage, but there's a lot of incentive and benefit to finishing a fourth year of a language. including a waiver of any language requirement in college. Sometimes it's through dual credit, sometimes it's just placement. So it's really something to consider depending on the list of schools that you have for you. So just some things to keep in mind as you're thinking about courses for next year. As for testing, we just finished up taking the ACT. We're hopeful those scores come back in just a couple of weeks. You likely will get your score back before we get our score report back. So just a reminder to check that email that you used to create your ACT account, because you'll receive an email from ACT that will ask you to log in and view your score from the April 9th exam. Many of you through our junior meetings and just kind of through discussion had planned on taking an ACT or an SAT over the summer. So like Ms. Ashinger mentioned, go ahead and sign up for those now. That June date is pretty popular. And actually the deadline to register without additional fee is May 9th. So that's just in a couple of weeks. So even if you maybe don't know your score from your April ACT yet, but you know that you're planning to take that test again, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and apply for the ones that you think you may take. Again, taking the test 2 to 3 times is pretty customary, and what we recommend is to maximize the ability to use a super score, and also just give yourself a try to do it a couple of times and see, how you can do. That goes for the SAT as well. You'll see that the offerings and the timing is a little bit different. And so there is no July test for the SAT. So June is really your best option over the summer. And then they have one that is going to be that like first week of school. So going ahead and getting those registered on your calendar is a good idea at this point. So Ms. Astinger recommended, again, just kind of helping narrow your list. So after meeting and talking with reps and all of that, you probably have a pretty long list, but we want you to really work on narrowing that list. And remember, we always want you to think about the things that are most important to you when you're looking at lists of schools. So those criteria you've identified that are important, whether that be location or cost or major, making sure that those are present on your list. Also, of the about 3 to 7 schools that you should have tossing around at this point, make sure there's some balance in that list. So safety options being more predictable in their outcomes in terms of admission or finances, and then your target schools sort of being kind of the general places you think you will likely go. And then, of course, we always want you to push yourself and be applying to reach schools as well. So making sure you have 1 to 2 of those in each of those categories really makes a complete list. So just kind of relying on those targets will help you develop a really good and comprehensive list. Your list of schools is also going to determine a lot what your fall is going to look like. So when your first deadline may be, and also the things that you will need to prepare to have done by that deadline. So typically we're all going to be working on a November 1st deadline for the most part, with that being the early action deadline. But some schools do have October 15th deadlines. Some may not be till January, but that really will show you where your work for your application process, how it will be distributed. So whether that is early on in the fall or if it's continuous throughout the fall and into the winter. So just things to think about and look at. And we're hoping you're feeling pretty optimistic and excited about the college planning process. Of course, here are me and Miss Ashinger. These are our caseloads. So if your last name's A through K, I'd love to see you and plan with you, hopefully before the end of the school year, and if not, the very beginning of the school year. And Miss Ashinger also has last names L through Z. So you know where to find us. We're in the counseling office. Now, if you could take a few minutes, you should have a link to a Google document that's really going to give us an idea of where you are right now. So it could be that you're at the very beginning of the process and you need a little bit of extra help, or maybe you've gone through a lot of these talks already and you visited campuses and you have a pretty focused list. So wherever you are, we really want to know. So please go ahead and fill out that survey for us. We'll get those responses and we just keep those as part of our information so we know how to best help you, especially going into the beginning of senior year.
Thank you.
That's all we got for you today. Thanks a lot.